Do you remember the experiment in physical science class where your teacher demonstrated what a supersaturated solution was? Here's a refresher. Your science-obsessed teacher proudly melted sugar in a water until it would hold no more. Then you heard the explanation that as the solution cooled, it would become supersaturated, meaning it was holding more sugar than what is physically possible while in liquid form. Then with a nerdy, evil grin, he'd compel the shyest student to come to the front of the class, hand her a small grain of sand, and asking her to drop it into the supersaturated solution. After turning a couple shades of red, she sheepishly drops the sand particle into the solution and boom! The solution crystallizes right in her face. So what's my point? The United States economy is currently in a supersaturated solution. Your science teacher unwittingly predicted the outcome, meaning that all it would take is a single grain of sand to be dropped into our dead but not yet fallen over economy for the country to be thrown into a crystallized mess, a full-blown depression, or worse. Worse? What could be worse than a depression caused by giving out trillions of dollars in government handouts from a federal checkbook already bleeding with red ink to people who are not working? Answer: riots in every major city in the U.S. by people who are not working, but demanding even more government handouts from a checkbook that has already written out trillions more dollars than it has. But with no one willing to buy any more U.S. debt, and the government no longer being able to print more dollars to appease the angry masses, they will be left with no choice but to say no. They will riot some more, yet they need to be told no again and again and again. And if the rioters still demand more of their fair share and destroy businesses of innocent third parties, justifying their crimes because those business owners are rich, what's the solution then? Likely mass arrests into makeshift prisons with amenities that might make Sheriff Joe Arpaio's prison tents look like a five-star hotel. We saw runaway inflation in the Weimar Republic of Germany, and more recently in Zimbabwe, where it took more than 100 quadrillion Zimbabwe dollars to buy a cup of coffee. And runaway inflation is just that. It's runaway, meaning it escalates without notice, and it rises so quickly that it pretty much annihilates all cash from all people, including billionaires like Bill Gates. Think about it. 100 quadrillion dollars to buy a cup of coffee? Everyone's broke overnight, unless you own hard assets like hammers, shovels, seeds, guns, or gold. Oh, but we're the United States. We couldn't possibly have the same runaway inflation problem as Zimbabwe. Their economy is chump change compared to the U.S., the naive Nellies might declare. Whoa, Nelly, you're right. The U.S. economy is bigger and may have an even bigger fall. In fact, it could be bigger than any economic fall in the history of the world. It might cost decillion dollars for a cup of coffee. That's decillion, as in a 1 followed by 33 zeros for a cup of cheap, black coffee, not Starbucks. What's the solution? Here's the Plan A solution, and if it works, there's no need for a Plan B. But Plan A is not an easy one. It includes cutting back on government services so drastically that people will be hard-pressed to find a single government subsidy left in the land. And as for welfare and unemployment checks, it's not happening. People either work or they don't eat. How cruel! Millions of people might decry, but that is the only way out. Stop spending what we don't have. And as for the moral high ground, this solution simply gets us back to the way the Bible explains things should have been done in the first place. Scriptures clearly say that if an able-bodied man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. Of course, compassion should still rule the day, with moral individuals giving from their own personal resources to those who truly cannot work. But that is from the private sector and to be voluntary, not compulsory. Let's all hope Plan A works, but if it doesn't, then there's Plan B. Buy gold, guns, and groceries, storable food with long shelf life, and tools and other tangible items that will be needed when money no longer spends. Truly, in a case like this, the person who owns a single shovel would be richer than the formerly richest person in the world who was foolish enough to have had his entire fortune in US dollars. This video has been brought to you as a public service from Swiss America, America's foremost gold and silver coin company, with a friendly reminder: in an economic catastrophe, the person who owns the gold makes the rules. For a free copy of the new book, The Great Withdrawal, that gives in-depth information about likely impending inflation and a banking crisis, call 800-BUY-COIN. That's 800-289-2646. Or visit www.swissamerica.com.